Del Rio, Texas. Rob Wade and Robert Garza. Two guys who dive. This episode of Two Guys Who Dive recorded live Saturday, 15 December 2012, episode 46. Be prepared. Welcome once again to another episode of Two Guys Who Dive. There was like this
a little hesitant there.
Huge pause. The guys that write the software that we use for the podcast keep doing these little tweaks. They haven't released this next big version that's supposed to fix some of the issues with Skype, because it's like one of those where you're chasing each other. Oh. Skype comes out with some updates and then it breaks something. And so there's this neat capacity in XSplit has an API that actually allows Skype, or typically would allow Skype, to see it as a additional camera. Well, Skype came out with yet another version, which was great because they fixed a couple of issues that it was having as far as speed, etc. But it stopped being able to see the XSplit software as additional camera.
Well,
so
that's not gonna work.
No. I'm like, and then when I finally figured, somebody figured out a registry tweak without having to drop back to the previous version of Skype. They figured out a registry tweak to basically add the capacity back in. Basically, tell Skype, "Hey, I'm still here. You can use me as a camera," and which it fixed that. But one issue it doesn't fix is now that, at least with Windows 8, we're able to do a fairly decent job of pumping this out at 720p. Skype doesn't like that.
Oh, okay.
Even though it will support high-def cameras, it doesn't like, as soon as I switch to anything above 800 by 600 with Skype or with XSplit, going to it, all you get is black screen. You can hear the audio. It sounds great.
Wasn't that we had that kind of problem? Remember that one time we were trying it that
yes.
I could hear you but I couldn't see you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Same issue, but they had sort of fixed it with the previous, or in the way the XSplit, the previous version, worked with the previous version of Skype. But when each was moving up, they were like, "Oh, we broke this." This is, and as a Lean Six Sigma guy, one of our cardinal rules is don't break other processes or related processes when you're fixing one process. There's a tendency to go out there and this is the bad thing about knee-jerk reaction. You react to something and then you think you're fixing it, and you may be fixing a symptom, but you end up breaking other processes that are connected to it, which will kind of dovetail nicely a little bit later when we talk about when we get into one of the topics of the podcast tonight. But I wanted to start off with something light, because we're going to get a little bit heavy towards the end there. But I want to start off with something a little light, and something we might get. I don't know. It might get heavy after a while.
Okay.
We're of course movie fans.
Yes.
I have to ask, have you seen The Hobbit?
I've not seen it.
Are you interested in any way of seeing The Hobbit?
Honestly, I'm interested.
However,
but I'm not interested.
Yeah.
The thing is, I've been when I got into the Lord of the Rings trilogy and all the movies, I really liked the Lord of the Rings. But I don't know, for some reason, I'm one of these kind of guys that when I see a commercial or a preview of a movie that's coming out, if it intrigues me, then yes, I want to see it. But this one didn't give me that vibe. It didn't give me that, I got to go see it.
I know what it was. You saw the Windows Phone commercial.
Yes. I saw the Windows Phone commercial. That just threw me off. No.
I'm no way going to see that movie.
And you know what? To to pay homage to Windows phones, I really enjoy the fact that you guys are starting to actually put commercials out there.
Advertise.
Thank you. That's what you guys needed to do. Now I can't turn the channel without seeing a Windows phone. So that's
interestingly, we were just watching. Normally watch it live, but been so busy this week we didn't catch the latest episode of Arrow, which of course is the Green Arrow, but they just call it Arrow. Latest episode was kind of interesting. We were catching on DVR, and Windows 8 is featured prominently.
Wow.
In the show, at least this episode. I thought, well, that was pretty cool.
Well, but no, I've not seen it, but I have read the. When you posted the
that was that was like required reading almost in school.
Yeah, it was the critics aren't, or the people that are seeing it obviously aren't getting it, I guess. And then the movie is 3 hours long, so it makes for a very long.
Again, like the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, they one of the guys posted on I can't remember which where I think it was on I think it was in People Magazine. Honestly, somebody was commenting about the length of the movie. Well, it is 3 hours long,
but it's a long book too.
Yes,
if you've ever read The Hobbit, which, like I said, growing up, my generation, that was like required reading. Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, and discuss. And I'm sorry, I was never a Dungeons and Dragons fan, and so the whole, even though J.R.R. Tolkien was a Christian, and so there's a lot of biblical themes written into it. It's kind of like the Tales of Narnia, same
exactly.
deal. But even given that, I'm sorry, it's still it's like great music, but you can't dance to it. I just couldn't get into it. I was like,
oh, so you saw it?
No. I read the books.
Oh, okay, the books.
I was just like, there's just no way that the movies would entice me. I didn't see any of the Lord of the Rings.
I enjoyed the Lord of the Rings. Like I said, they were very long, and then Dominic got the Blu-ray versions.
Oh, yeah.
With the
Did they remove the car in the background of that continuity flaw?
No, they actually they added 45 minutes of deleted movies to each one of the movies. No, it's
because you can watch it in the comfort of your own bed, because you'll be so exhausted after watching the movie.
He was like, yeah, you want to watch them from the first one through all the way to the last one. I was like, sure. He goes, okay, well, you need to take a day off because we'll have to start at 8 o'clock in the morning. We'll finish probably somewhere around 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Hope you cooked dinner already.
Yeah, so it's but no, it hasn't intrigued me, but it
yeah. Yeah, not my bag, baby. not my bag. So I've kind of compiled a list of movies that I'm interested. I suspect some of these you'll be interested in, and of course, if you have any that come to mind that you want to talk about, by all means. But here's some movies that are at least planned. You know how releases go. I mean, the latest remake of Red Dawn was actually ready over a year ago, and
hey Rob, I can barely hear myself.
Really? Well, turn up your volume there.
Which one is it? This one?
Start talking.
Hello, there. I can hear myself now.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Yeah, making adjustments, technical adjustments. All right. Speaking of technical adjustments, before we get really dive into the movies here, Living Water Sound had our second of 3 Christmas concerts this year. Yeah, at Plaza del Sol Mall.
Plaza.
And went well, but it was earlier in the morning, so it was basically not too long after the mall opened. But still was good. But we were just about finished. We only had one song left, and all of a sudden, I get nothing from my keyboards out of my monitor, which is actually run off of my rack of equipment, which is similar to the rack that's right below the studio desk here. You could hear it out there, which was really hard because, in a mall, you're like chasing echo and bounce back. It's just terrible. And it was hard for anybody else on the stage there, the platform, to... Oh, there we go. There we go. Hard for them to hear me on the stage. So what it turned out to be, so I'm basically playing totally, almost completely deaf.
Oh, wow.
I just had to tune out what was bouncing out off the walls there so I could stay in with everybody else. What turned out was I have a stereo EQ in my rack. One side, and I don't actually use it in stereo, I use it as two separate mono EQs, so I can send through one channel, left channel, I send to the main board, and so I can give them an EQ'd sound tapered the way they want to hear it in the mains, and then I have the other side, the right side, is fed to me, so I can EQ, because I want to hear it differently than the way it sounds out there. Okay. I may want lower lows or something like that. Well, of course, it turns out that the EQ portion, the right side of my EQ, just failed. As it turns out, I had to just bypass it, so I was just running flat signal, which at least gave me sound, but it was really annoying because it wasn't the sound I was used to.
Right.
So I'm like, well, darn it, I'll have to be looking into replacement EQ, which is like the least expensive piece of equipment in a rack. You know, typically a decent stereo 15-channel EQ runs you about $90 or so.
Okay, cool.
But, you know, it could have been one of my more expensive pieces, like the effects processor or something like that. I was like, oh, man, I'm almost done. It's like when you're playing something, doing something, all of a sudden the power goes out just at the last, you know, watching the last scene in a movie, and then the power goes out. Or satellite dish goes out because of weather or whatever. It's wild.
Reminds me of the I think it was the second episode of Twilight. It was right there, and then the movie stops, and it leaves you kind of
at the theater.
Yeah.
What happened? Let me guess. The monkeys flipped the switch.
No. The movie ended right there for the second part. For like, see there's four. Yeah, there's four of them. The first one, it started and it ended good, and then the second one started, and it kind of stopped. Like,
I mean, there's no ending. It's like if you're watching TV, it should go to commercial right there,
and then all of a sudden
and then
you
never
see
comes
it to
back.
be continued. You know, it should have been like one
me.
of those. Yeah, so it ended right there. So you had to wait a year and a half to see what happened.
Oh,
so that one was kind of like a nail biter. That one.
Wow.
But all right, let's get into the movies. What are we talking about?
So the first one on my list, this is not in a particular order, it's just kind of as I thought of them. But the first one I came up with was, of course, Man of Steel, which is yet another reboot. Let me bring up, let's see if I can get, no, it's not that one. Dun, dun, dun. There we go. Man of Steel. That one's coming out supposedly June 14th. So I guess this is kind of order that they are expected to come out. Of course, we know how that goes.
Now, is this one played by this guy? Is it the same one who played on the recent remakes of the Superman?
No, it's yet another reboot.
Oh, man.
And so I have, for your viewing pleasure, I do have
trailer.
I have a trailer. On a couple of these, I do have trailers. We'll see if we can bring it.
The world's too big, Mom. Then make it small.
Reminds me of the song from Latte Top.
Yeah, really.
Focus on my voice. Pretend it's an island. Out in the ocean. Can you see it?
Now, what I can't get is who's playing his dad. And I mean,
my son was in the
Jonathan
bus.
Kent. This is cool.
He saw what Clark did.
You have to keep this side of yourself a secret.
What was I supposed to do? Just let him die?
Kevin Costner.
Kevin Costner is his father?
Maybe.
He's that old already to be
I'm
playing.
like, no way.
I have so many questions. Where do I come from?
Oh, Fortress of Solitude? Huh?
You just have to decide what kind of man you want to grow up to be, Clark. Whoever that man is, he's going to change the world. world found out who I really was, they'd reject me. He was convinced that the world wasn't ready. What do you think?
I might go see it, just because it looks intriguing.
Okay, so I'll definitely be going to see it. I'm a DC Comics guy with some exceptions, and I personally think each subsequent approach to Superman, they've raised the bar a little bit and gotten a little bit better. I'm hoping this is the one.
Well, the reason I want to go see it is because I'm a big Zack Snyder fan, and I liked all his movies.
Right.
They're very like visual, like even though 300 was kind of like, oh my god,
There's a
cheesy.
remake, or there's a sequel for that coming out too, by the way.
Oh.
It's not on my list, but it was just a little bit too over.
It's a little too
over the top for me, but
yeah. Okay, I'm down to see that one.
yeah, I'm thinking it's gonna be pretty good.
I think it's gonna be pretty interesting.
I think it's gonna be all right, huh?
I think it's gonna be all right because
Now,
Kevin Costner's
the word is that it'll be there will be no Lex Luthor. I'm like, thank you. So tired of every version of Lex Luthor that's come out. That it will be somebody from his home planet. So I'm thinking General Zod has gotta be Zod.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not, I'll be disappointed, because that's who they really could. Zod was actually done pretty decent as far as they could take it on Smallville. I truly hated the guy. So I was kind of expecting that we might see just hinting, seeing what the hints are. I'm thinking, why does it keep jumping to this one? So next one, and other than seeing some different pictures and some synopsis on this, there is a pseudo trailer for this, is Elysium, and it's made by the same guy who did District 9, which was kind of an interesting movie. See if I can find the trailer here.
I've been waiting for them to come out with District 10.
Really?
Yeah, the guy who played the main character in District 9, the guy from South Africa.
Right.
He agreed to do District 10.
Really?
Yeah. The only problem is the story's written and everything, but they can't nail it down because of commitments.
Of course, it's it's always scheduling this and that.
But they're refusing to make the movie with another actor, so
I like that.
yeah. So they're waiting for him to commit to the movie. So now it's just a matter of timing, but it's been in the works and the talks for at least 3-4 years.
Well, Elysium, or of course starring Matt Damon, shaved his head for the part. This is one of those. Yeah, this is one of those. This is one of those. I think, at least from what I can tell, is all the rich people live off Earth and all the poor people live on Earth kind of thing. It's the us versus them kind of thing. And the marketing for the movie seems to be done along the lines of how they kind of approached Prometheus, where you have, with Prometheus, they had a lot of run-up and still have it out there, some stuff they're doing with it, which hints to me at a Prometheus too. The Wayland Corporation, you see all the history and little advertisements for Wayland, building better worlds. Well, the trailer for this, let's see if it's got a commercial first. I hate nope,
Welcome to a company where cutting-edge technology meets human innovation. Armadyne, we're building a better world, and we're building it with you. Armadyne is embarking on a monumental vision of the future. The most ambitious project ever undertaken by mankind begins now.
It's done like
Currently,
this
we're
like
seeking
Wayland
experienced
Corporation.
individuals in the following fields: zero-G welders, megastructure engineers, quantum networkers, experts
be a
in
quantum
zero-G
networker.
coupling, and multi-generational
Zero-G.
planning.
Zero-G,
If you see yourself in our future, take the first step and apply today. Armadyne, taking mankind into the future. Visit armadyne.net for more information. Expected project completion spring of 2097.
Love it. So it looks to be pretty interesting. I'm not a Matt Damon fan, but the concept kind of hints at like combinations of Gattaca, Logan's Run, or hints of these different kinds of movies. So and some of the stills that I've seen look pretty neat.
Wow.
Really the difference between the uber rich and how they have everything handed to them, and then having to, and basically it's kind of like you're fight for your right to party.
I'm on the fence on this one. I gotta. This is the first time I even hear about it, so I gotta look a little bit more. I'm pretty sure
more research.
Do some more research on that.
And I will be too. But I was like, okay, this could be one of the few Matt Damon movies I actually go watch. Okay, next one, and that. Oh, by the way, Elysium opens August 9th. August 9th. So the next one I've got on my list, debuting supposedly March 29th, is G.I. Joe Retaliation.
Die Hard Retaliation.
Yeah. Well, there is another Die Hard movie.
Yeah, I know. That's what
Bruce Willis is absolutely one of the busiest actors lately. Doing Red 2 is coming out, the Expendables 2, and I mean he's just. And then he was in that weird movie that what was it? Had Bill Murray in it. It was just this weird one that I saw it on pay-per-view. I guess it came out last year. I don't think it ever made it to Del Rio.
No.
I was like, really? Bruce Willis is in that? But let's see if I have the movie poster for it. I think this is always going to go back to, I got to talk to these guys. Okay, there's the poster for it. So, if it's got The Rock in it, it's going to be off the charts.
I'm not a big
Dwayne Johnson.
Dwayne Johnson
really?
fan. Yeah.
I've liked him in almost everything I've seen him in. Whether it's been the comedy type stuff, it was like a sequel to the Witch Mountain movies. That was even interesting.
Okay, yeah, I remember
that was
one.
even interesting.
Yeah.
And it was kid friendly, which was good.
I mean, he's okay. He's a good actor and everything like that.
Did you see him in The Takedown?
The which one?
The Takedown.
Nuh-uh.
With what's his face? I can't remember his name now. The kid he has to go out. He's a bounty hunter, and he has to go after this kid that his father. He's basically a loser. And he chases him down to South Africa or one of those places where there's a big mining town, but it turns out, and it's run by the always interesting Christopher Walken.
Oh.
And so there's this big battle that goes, he's like, I just want to get this guy and bring him back to his dad. And Christopher Walken wants to interrupt his whole thing. He's like, okay, fine. I mean, he just takes, and he does. He takes him down big time. It was actually an interesting movie. Nice little.
Anything that Bruce Willis comes out is going to be bankable. So
yeah,
I'm G.I. Joe fan. So I like the first one and definitely going to see this one.
So I've got. Let's see if I got.
I just wish they would have kept the same actors. That's it.
They do have the one guy.
The main guy?
Here we go. Mute this mess. Yeah, I don't hear you introducing the trailer. All right, here we go. Appropriate for all audiences. It ain't a Harley, so I don't want it.
Oh, my gosh.
Let me get this straight. One whole weekend, you looking after my little
See, that guy's the same.
As long as I can bring this, I love your kids. But they live to terrorize me.
I do. See that?
Security's early.
Ready, and stop.
That is
They're
tough.
okay.
Yeah.
Only one man who could authorize a strike like that.
And I voted
for him.
My fellow world leaders.
And of course,
this
anybody who
country
saw
is
the
at war.
previous movie knows that this
The
is
new
actually
Special Forces unit,
imposter.
codenamed Cobra, will protect us where the Joes could not. The G.I. Joes are no more.
What if the president isn't the president?
You're insane.
Our government has been infiltrated. Any and all traces of our existence is terminated.
We have to assume that there's no one.
Kind of like Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol.
There's a reason we call ourselves Joes.
They've been disavowed.
Yeah.
Take
Persona
2
non
cases of
grata.
Thin Mints and a box of Chocolux.
General Colton.
Call me Joe.
I thought he died.
I thought so too when he fell, but you know
He
what?
fell
You never
supposedly into liquid nitrogen. How do you survive that?
I guess he froze himself. Who knows?
This is it, boys. This is what we waited for.
But Snake Eyes is played by the same guy, Ray
Yeah.
Park. The guy who played Darth Maul
Whoever
in
did
the.
this,
That's
we'll be
right.
back.
That's right.
We're all that's left. Let's get to work. World ain't saving itself. You went wrong. I wasn't gonna bury any more Joes. Something else is going on here. Get out of there now.
See, now that looks like something I'd like to do.
Yeah. Sign me up.
Sign me up for that.
G.I. Joe.
Idol's a little rough and neutral. I ain't gonna be in neutral.
I love it. I thought there was another part to that, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I'm down to see that one.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty exciting. I think that'll be better than the previous one, actually.
You think so?
Yeah, I do.
I kind of like the first one. The first one was really good.
Oh, it was good, but I think this is going to be better. If for no other reason than because Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis, I mean,
he's going to step the game up big time on that one. Now, of course, this next one you may not have heard of, but this one I think is going to be really cool. And I am not in any way, shape, or form a Tom Cruise fan.
The Scientologist?
No. I just don't like the guy. But this movie just may win me over pure in spite of him. It's called Oblivion, supposedly out April 12th, and I have a trailer for that. I think this is going to be pretty awesome. Let's see, is this the good one?
The one I wanted to see of him is going to be coming out Friday, which is the
Jack Reaper?
Yeah.
Just no way.
I think it's going to be pretty cool.
All right, here we go.
The last Super Bowl was played right here.
Please don't tell me it was a classic.
Classic game. 80,000 people on their feet. Seconds left on the clock. So Hubie throws a Hail Mary. Touchdown! 166, back online. 60 years ago, Earth was attacked. We won the war, but they destroyed half the planet. Everyone's been evacuated. Nothing human remains. We're here for drone repair with a mop-up crew.
This is Jack Harper.
I'm good to go.
2 more weeks, Jack, and we can finally leave and join the others. Don't take any chances.
Hate it when the line breaks. And guess who's holding him?
Oh, man.
I've been watching you, Jack. You're curious. What are you looking for in those books? Do they bring back old memories?
We have an unidentified impact.
Don't ask too many questions.
They are human.
Mission is ordering you to return to tower.
Jack.
How do you know my name? They're firing on survivors. Stand down! What have you done?
I can't protect you.
They won't
Was that a
stop till they
tauntaun?
find me.
If you're looking for the truth, that's where you'll find it.
You need to know what happened.
What aren't you telling me? Who are you?
Jack, Mission is ordering you to stand down.
I'm not gonna do that.
So, what do you think of that one?
I didn't know this one's coming down the ramp here. I didn't know that one was coming. I like Tom Cruise's movies. I don't agree, with the other part of them. But I do like his movies, though. I'm a big Mission Impossible fan. I like what he's done with the franchise of it. He's done really well. And then, of course, some of his other movies are okay.
Right.
Wow, it looked pretty interesting. I guess we'll have to go check it out.
Yeah. Well, just say yes and we'll move on.
Just say yes and we'll move on to the next movie.
Okay, speaking of next movies, Iron Man 3, of course. Like I said, I'm a DC guy. Like I said, I am a DC guy. However, Iron Man was definitely my exception. I was a big Iron Man fan. And, of course, I think they absolutely have had the perfect person playing the title character. I mean, he is exactly what you think of when you read the comic.
What is
philanthropist?
Wealthy billionaire, good looking.
Who's wearing the spangly outfit?
The spangly outfit. Oh, gosh.
So, let's see. Pull up the movie poster on that. Dun, dun, dun. There we go. So, looks like he's going to see all of his previous creations blow up. At least according to the
trailer.
The latest trailer. Let's see. Is this the good trailer? I've found a number of different ones out there. Yeah, there we go. This one's the
got a lot of apologies to
gold,
make.
More gold than red version.
Nothing's been the same since New York. You experience things, and then they're over. I can't sleep. And when I do, I have nightmares. Honestly, there's 100 people who want to kill me. I hope I can protect the one thing I can't live without.
This one looks a lot darker.
Ladies, children, sheep. Some people call me a terrorist. I consider myself a teacher. Lesson number 1.
Mandarin is played by none other than...
There is no such thing.
Oh, yes. Yes.
You did a pretty good job with that.
Yeah. Good to have Scooby here right about then, huh? Iron Man 3.
Yeah, that's a gimme. Everybody's going to run out to see that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah, big thumbs up on Iron Man 3. Yeah. Okay, now next up on our hit parade. Oh, and that comes out May 3rd, if all goes well. Next we have... Star Trek Into Darkness, the alternate timeline of Star Trek. I tell you, that is the way you can legitimately reboot a series that has so much canon to it, so many books that are pretty much accepted into, with give or take here or there, has additional canon just based on the books alone. To use an alternate timeline that actually uses some of the, at least one of the original actors to tie the two together and say, okay, here's the baton handing off. That's the handoff. Now, as you'll see in the trailer for this movie, they're taking a lot more. I don't know. J.J. Abrams is beginning to make an enemy of me. I accepted certain things out of the new movie. I still do not accept Spock and Uhura. I'm sorry. I don't care what universe, what timeline Spock is not gonna not get down with one of the crewmen. It just ain't gonna happen. There's something else that you'll see in this trailer that I do not buy in any way, shape, or form. So let's see if I can get this going. Is this the Japanese one actually has a little bit longer footage in it, so we'll bring that one up. So I think it's got some.
It's got some subtitles.
Yeah.
You think your world is safe? It is an illusion. A comforting lie told to protect you. Enjoy
They're
these
always
final
jumping off of
moments
stuff.
peace. For I have returned to have my vengeance.
I'm not buying this.
They hit it in the water.
Well, what do you see next? I think that's probably Rand.
So,
I think that's probably going to be Yeoman
shall we
Rand.
begin?
Yep.
But watch this. No way. I'm sorry, I don't buy the Enterprise crashing into the bay.
Not do
Just
for your
don't buy it.
family.
I thought it was too big to even enter the atmosphere.
Well, it should, yeah. Well, there was an episode in the original series where actually
But then in the remake, the Enterprise is being assembled.
Yes,
In-
which
you know-
is another part that I just don't buy.
Yeah.
In no version of any of the books, etc., where they were always built in orbiting shipyards.
Yeah, by space
Yeah.
stations and stuff like
for
that.
for the very same reason that we build our space station
in space.
in space.
Yeah.
It just makes sense.
How are you going to get it up there?
Well, again, yeah, you never saw that in the movie, but I will go see it because it is Star Trek, and just to see if there's some things I need to send nasty grams to J.J. Abrams over.
You know, he redid the movie, kicked it off with a decent remake. He brought in already Romulans and and stuff like that. Why not just keep going with some of the quintessential villains?
Right.
Bring in the Klingons. Bring in the Klingons. Yeah, bring in some of the Khan.
Supposedly, what people are saying that character in this second
Khan?
movie is Khan.
They haven't said anything about who the villain is, but my brother, not my brother, he must be thinking about me. Dominic thinks that it is that yeoman.
Well, the
character.
blonde, I'm absolutely sure. I'll be surprised if that's not Yeoman Rand. But the villain who's doing the voiceover here, forget the name of the guy, and everybody's like, "Oh yes, if he is the villain, this is going to be awesome."
He's an English character. He's an English guy from
I'm sure all the bad guys are English. I say with very direct British heritage. The word is that he's probably Khan, but there's nothing definite being revealed yet. Okay, so the next one, and you may not have heard of this one, is After Earth. Will Smith and his son.
Is that the same one, the Karate Kid?
Yes, it is the same one.
Okay.
But with better hair.
Okay, cool.
This one, of course, there's not too much that Will Smith does that I'm not impressed with.
Mm-hmm.
Considering he came from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
He was a rapper.
Yeah, which just doesn't do it for me. But this movie also looks pretty interesting. And I would put this in the same genre or category as like Oblivion. Let me see if I can pull up the video on here.
I like Will Smith's movies.
Yeah.
When his son, Jaden came out in the remake of the Karate Kid.
Oh yeah.
I really didn't like him. I mean, the media bashed that poor little boy.
Oh yeah.
Because he was very arrogant. Supposedly. during and after the making of the movie.
Of course. It's kind of like I do with students.
Okay, breathe.
Crash landed. 2 confirmed survivors. Son, this is not training. This is a Class 1 quarantined planet. The threats we will be facing are real. Everything on this planet has evolved to kill humans. Every single decision we make will be life or death.
But if we are going to survive this, you must realize that fear is not real.
Nice. Everybody's jumping off of stuff.
It is a product of thoughts you create.
We gotta get some of those bird suits and rent a plane.
There you go.
Danger.
Well, with the lake the way it is, we can jump off the
No
cliff and
kidding.
glide.
But fear is a choice.
Do you know where we are?
No, sir.
This is Earth.
Cool, huh?
Yep.
After Earth.
This is another one I didn't know was coming down, so I guess I'm on the fence on this one too.
Yeah, I think that one's going to look pretty exciting. It's probably not going to be in quite the same. It's kind of hints to me as like a live action Avatar in a way, except they're actually there instead of in an avatar. But interesting to be a movie that, for all I can tell, is just them the whole time. That is, from an acting standpoint, that is some seriously... Oh, the dogs are expecting to get fed. That is some serious... that's some serious work to do, especially since obviously they'd be acting a lot of the time.
Hey, look,
green screen.
If Tom Hanks could do it in Castaway, anybody can do it.
Yeah, but he had it easier. Not so much of it was green screen there.
Yeah, that's
the
gonna be
aircraft,
tough.
and that's about it. About it. Just, hey, we've bought an island. We're gonna drop you on it and just let the camera roll. How will that be?
For 45 minutes.
Really?
We're just gonna leave you there with a beach ball, a volleyball.
Strike up a relationship. Sadness.
Strike up a relationship.
Strike up a relationship. All right. Let's see if I can get the trailer lined up for this next one. All right. So, by the way, After Earth premieres June 7th, if all goes well. Next up on our hit parade is Pacific Rim. This one I did not see coming. I've literally tripped against it. It's hard to tell from the picture here the way we're seeing it, but you see how small the people are compared to this.
Right.
This is, if you like the big robots, like the mech warrior type stuff. This is like, how would we battle Godzilla? So, and I've got a trailer, if I can pull it up here. Oh, good grief. I've got dogs hinting that they want attention. Hello. You know it's not good when you're walking down the street and fighter craft are low buzzing you.
Yeah.
We always thought alien life would come from the stars, but it came from deep beneath the sea, a portal between dimensions in the Pacific Ocean.
Had Had to be the Bermuda Triangle. Look at this.
Something out there had discovered us. They counted on the humans to hide, to give up, to fail.
But homie, don't play that.
No. What do? We build a big robot.
Big robots.
They never considered our ability to stand, to endure, that we would rise to the challenge.
Pilots ready to connect.
Let's go fishing.
2 pilots engaged in neural bridge. Ready to activate the Jaeger in 3, 2, 1.
Today, at the edge of our hope, at the end of our time, we have chosen to believe in each other. Today we face the monsters that are at our door. Today we are canceling the apocalypse.
Love this. Want a little extra punch? I'll turn on the boosters. Seriously, knock you out. Look at this. Bring on the Transformers.
Yep, exactly.
Pretty interesting,
yeah,
huh?
It looks pretty interesting. I don't know about that one.
So that one is Pacific Rim. I guess that's because that's where the portal they discover is
in the Pacific.
Rim. Yeah, I've got a special guest appearance by Graza here. Are you gonna lick the? No. So funny. She gets where she absolutely has to have attention. All right, so that comes out supposedly July 12th. Now the next one up, I didn't even think they were going to be doing another one, but it is for you Marvel and X-Men fans. It is the Wolverine. So this one, he's going to Japan, and you see the silhouette.
Oh,
Who is the big samurai guy that he fought in the comic books?
I have no idea.
Probably called Samurai for all. Like I said, I was not a Marvel Comics guy, but I do recall there was somebody over that, kind of like how Iron Man has Mandarin. So like those Asian bad guys. They're all part of the Yakuza or whatever.
I never followed. Honestly, I never followed this one, so I wouldn't know who he's fighting.
I gotta say, of all the people who've played characters in the X-Men group, he's the one that seems to stand out as enduring. He's the most entertaining to watch.
He's the most popular too.
Yeah. So that one is due to come out, if all goes well, July 26th. I haven't seen any. These last few, I haven't seen any trailers on, except for one. That's another one that you've probably not heard anything about. The next one we have up is, and there's no movie poster for it. This has been like forever in the making. This is another one of those that I remember reading back when I read tons of sci-fi. Ender's Game, which is a classic sci-fi novel along the same lines as stuff by Arthur C. Clarke or some of the greats, Frederick Pohl and Larry Niven.
Never even heard of it.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you had to kind of grow up reading this kind of stuff. But Ender's Game was it was a long book, a very involved storyline. I couldn't see me reading it today because I just can't get that wrapped into very, very complicated. This is one of those that follows somebody kind of as they're growing up kind of thing. But it's got Harrison Ford in it. It's literally, I think they've tried to get this made since like 1985 or something like that.
Wow.
The guys, this is like changed hands a few times, and but basically it's this kind of how can I synopsize this? You got this kid named Ender who is uber smart, and all of these really smart kids are kind of rolled into this army fighting against an alien race, and they know how to control computer systems, and they've got very specific talents that are exploited. I would say nowadays, if anybody were to equate the characters, the character of River Tim from Firefly and Serenity, that would be these kids.
Oh, okay.
They just have knacks for everything. And then there's sibling rivalry. His older brother, hates him because he's able to control this mechanism much longer and more proficiently than he could. His sister, on the other hand, really, really loves him, and everybody else just hates him because he's just too darn smart and precocious, But he moves through the ranks and everything, and ends up. Long story short, he ends up actually being coming up with the way to ultimately kill off the enemy race, but then ends up kind of turning the tables and kind of saves them at the last second. He realizes, what, this is wrong, and so it's kind of like this: you're a good kid. You're too smart for your own good. You go down and do all these things. You overcome all these bullies because everybody hates you because you're so smart. And then you go and kill the enemy, and then you realize they weren't really your enemy to begin with. And so you turn around and save them, and it's all right with the world. But very futuristic tale. It's just for me, it's one of those, oh, wow, I remember reading the book, and I'd heard it over the years. There's a number of these types of movies from classic science fiction novels that have long been trying to work. There's one that Morgan Freeman is associated with. He's got his name all over it, but it just can't get made. And I'm trying to remember the name of it now, and it'd be another classic that most sci-fi aficionados would recognize. But it's one he's been attached to forever and just can't seem to get it off the ground. Yeah. And this one, I really never thought they would, because it really, I think, to tell the tale correctly, is going to require them to work multiple movies to do it. But it'll be interesting to see. So, but it is in production now, and if it's got Harrison Ford, it's got some muscle behind it, instead of just third-rate actors. Okay, next one. And I never thought I'd see another one made. Oh, gosh. Riddick, and this is actually, even though the other title I've seen used with this is Riddick Dead Man Stalking.
Okay.
And basically it sort of takes off years after the ending of the Chronicles of Riddick came out, which I actually liked. I mean, it got panned by a number of critics, but I actually liked it. I thought it was a great tale. It was great to see Judi Dench. It was great to see her in the movie. She had a really interesting character in it.
Yeah.
And, of course, it's got one of my favorite good bad guys, the actor who played, of course, Bones in the Star Trek movie, and he's been in a number of other movies. He was in... Was it Priest or something like that?
He was the bad guy in Priest. He came out in Red.
Yeah.
He's come out in a lot of movies. His name is Carl Urban.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's from New Zealand.
He's from New Zealand.
He's from New Zealand. And from what I read somewhere, he really likes Texas. I don't know if that's true or not.
Is there anything wrong with that at all? Of course not.
No.
Let's see if I can find this trailer. There we go. All right. The next one coming up, and this is probably one you've not heard of, and actually Troy clued me in on this one, is called Prototype, or The Prototype. Now, this one, I I'm at a loss for how to quantify this other than to show you the trailer. I can get it going here. Dun, dun, dun.
Now, we discovered that while you were at MIT, you wrote a thesis called Lazarus, almost a precursor to the current scientific movement known as singularity. Given that 15 years later you are creating a humanoid robot, do you still believe, like Dr. Kurzweil and many others, that mankind will someday
who just
evolve
joined
into,
Google?
Well, machines?
Yes, he did. Ray Kurzweil.
Mr. Maxwell, something wrong?
Oh.
He's here somewhere. I can feel
the guy's in a lot of stuff.
Hey. You okay?
Nada. This has to be my focus. Right now, nothing else matters.
Talk to me, what do you got?
A nationwide manhunt underway for the experimental military drone that escaped from an FBI evidence storage facility in Nevada 73 hours ago. Hailed as the next generation of unmanned drone technology, the project was shut down after the robotic soldier malfunctioned. A mistake that resulted in the deaths of all 18 employees of Accelerated Dynamics, including genius inventor Alex Maxwell and his field.
And how are we doing this evening? Hey!
Target body, target body!
Let's go, 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 go!
Man will become machine. The prototype. Coming to theaters near you sometime in 2013. So, from what I can tell there, this guy is really hip on the whole brain neurology interface with computers, etc. And then there's this prototype robot soldier, whatever, that if just from that one quick shot, I see that he looks at something that says malignant. So I'm guessing he had some sort of a tumor, a cancer that was going to kill him, and so he
volunteered.
He probably took the prototype and then implanted himself into it to basically save himself.
Right.
And so then
you know the suit and everything that he's wearing reminds me of the character that's played Symbian. That's his name from the movie Hellboy. It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Kind of the same thing, except that guy, he's like really tall,
right,
and real skinny. But it kind of reminded me of that, and I thought, is this like maybe how he became that?
Right.
But no, it's not, because the guy who plays Symbian is actually like he's fish. He's like a fish.
Yeah.
So
but it had kind of that same
type of
the
suit.
eyes almost practically on the sides of the head. So that looks pretty interesting. All right, just a couple more before we switch topics here. Dun, 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 dun. there. And all right. Yes, Thor 2, The
Thor.
Dark World. Only some stills of them working on the set are available yet. And then, of course, the movie poster. No trailer yet. A lot of fan-made trailers out there, though.
Oh, yeah.
There's some people who got way too much time on their hands. But that's scheduled to come out November 8th, so just ahead of Thanksgiving. So that will be pretty interesting.
Gonna see that one, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah. So that pretty much rounds out the... and all the main, of course, Hemsworth is going to be in there, and then I can't stand her anymore, but Princess Ardala, what's her face? She's reprising her role.
Princess Ardala?
Whatever her face is from Star Wars. She was in the first movie.
Oh, Natalie Portman.
Yeah, can't stand her. Can't stand her. But, of course, she's reprising her role. She had a cameo in the form of a picture in the Avengers movie.
What? Oh, yeah.
So, all right. So, if you really were isolated, you didn't hear about this, but of course, a couple of days ago, there was a shooting at a very, very tragic shooting at Sandy Hook Elementary in Newtown, Connecticut. As far as what is known now, although there's probably some more information coming out, kid named Adam Lanza, 20 years old, got up in the morning, shot his mother, then went to the school where she was a teacher. Then, and the school had a security system where after, I think, 9 o'clock, basically after the first bell or whatever, they locked the doors, and so you had to get buzzed in. So there was a camera system. The office would watch it. Mm-hmm. And if you wanted to come in, whether you're a parent, whoever, you had to be buzzed in so they'd see you in the camera. Well, evidently, he circumvented that by shooting out the glass beside the door. So he got in and evidently went to classrooms and to the office and massacred 20 children and 6 adults, including the principal. Some of the things that they knew up to this point, a custodian, once he saw what was going on, evidently ran through the halls trying to warn that there was a gunman loose. And then someone in the office turned on the intercom so that everybody in the school could hear what was going on and hopefully be warned. And so, fortunately, some of the teachers did lock their doors and then hide the kids or had them huddle in the classrooms. Unfortunately, it wasn't quick enough to save those poor 20 kids. You are in law enforcement and security, and so I was just curious. This is like a story right up your alley, based on your experience, what you see. What is the potential? What are the weaknesses that we maybe have in our school system here? That if somebody totally out of the blue, because this clearly was totally out of the blue, there was nothing that any of the teachers asked at this point were aware of leading up to this. There was no, well, he keeps coming by and pestering his mother, whatever. So this is not one of those things where they were like, you know what, we might want to tighten things up because this kid is off. What do you see are some challenges based on what they kind of security that they had in place? What we may have here. What are some concerns?
Well, it's obvious. I mean, here we don't have that kind of security. To where things are locked. The schools aren't. They by no means are they even remotely close to having any kind of automatic door locking systems or things like that.
Really,
people pretty much just come in and go. In order to get into the campus, obviously, if you're a stranger, the first line of defense is the office, and then after that, it would be the teachers. There are certain things in place. before any visitor goes in, they must have what's called a pass, and it's a big yellow sticker that you have to have. Now, it is the responsibility of the teacher and staff or staff members to challenge anybody who they see walking around who they don't recognize, and challenge them. Where's your pass?
Yeah.
Did you check in? Because if
Right.
you didn't check in, you're not supposed to be here. It's an ongoing issue. Now, obviously, there is no, aside from training and any kind of, ready efforts that you can have in place to combat something like this. It can happen anywhere at any time. We just don't know. I mean, obviously, this kid just got up one day and decided, I'm gonna go ahead and kill a lot of people, a lot of innocent people.
Now, obviously, they're going to be looking at his computer and things like that for any other hints as to this was building up, because the Columbine shooting, it turns out in retrospect, there were plenty of hints that something was going up.
And I don't know what the situation with this kid is. I'm sure as the investigation goes on, they're going to find something wrong.
Yeah.
But here, I really, we're very cautious and very observant as to what goes on, what our people are doing, and stuff like that.
Truthfully,
it can happen anywhere at any time.
What's to stop? I mean, there were some mechanism. They actually, it's reported that they did have some training, kind of like what was done with the shooting in that mall.
Mm-hmm.
The store owners, which was amazing to me. I'll bet the store owners don't do this, but the folks in the mall there worked with state and local first responders on protocols to handle if you have an active shooter. And we practice these actually quite frequently at the base. The store owners knew, you as soon as you hear anything going on, you lock things down. Everybody moved to the back and under cover. The school evidently had some.
We do have the active shooter program here in Del Rio, and the Del Rio Police Department, the Border Patrol, the school PD. We all take part in these active shooters. We use some of the old campuses as like scenario-based training.
Do you work with the kids? Do you have like a point where you work with the teachers and the kids?
Unfortunately, in situations like this, it would be nice to get involvement like that, but it's a legality thing. You know that they will not allow any kind of training with any kind of staff members unless you are strictly law enforcement.
What?
Yeah, that's just how it is.
That needs to be fixed. See, this is the kind of thing that frustrates me. We have, and that's why the title of the episode is "Be Prepared." We as divers, we have to think about the whole totality of the diving experience and be prepared. Not only individually having the equipment well maintained, make sure that everything is in working order, that everything is in place. Even the most basic pre-dive safety check is all about being prepared. And then, of course, when we do the more extensive dives like night diving, or etc., we have additional items that we maintain preparedness for. Right. And we, as being rescue trained, we also look at the bigger picture of like, okay, what do we have available to us to address any conceivable situation that might come up? Because we have to be prepared either to prevent something from happening or reacting as quickly as possible to minimize the victims or damage or injury from something that does happen that we can't necessarily control. And this just amazes me.
I would love to do training like that. I'm 100% for training. I think that has been a really big thing of mine in the past as far as my law enforcement career and everything. Training has always been key for me. The more that I know, the better I feel, and better prepared doing my job. I wish we could train with the kids. I wish we could actually run scenarios like in for example, like something like this. We got a shooter in campus. Let's run through some scenarios and let's get the kids start running this way, running that way. But we don't. We really don't.
So what you're telling me is, and this is scary to think about, the teachers wouldn't even have necessarily a clue unless they happen to be more aware and have their head in the game. There's nothing that really sets them up for success in an active shooter situation.
No.
That's scary.
Yep.
That's scary. I would be one of those standing with you or whoever that wanted to push to do something that looks at these kind of scenarios, because I think this is the classic perfect. This and the mall shooting are classic scenarios that would be the most likely to happen, because it's a what's the word I'm looking for? It'd be a crime of opportunity. In other words, if somebody were disgruntled, and quite frankly, living on the border, we have any number of, I mean, I can imagine this scenario. This is what kind of scares me and upsets me. I can imagine a scenario where somebody who either lives here or lives over in Mexico or has relatives in Mexico who says or does the wrong thing that angers one of the cartels. And they have their fingers in Acuna too. They have it everywhere. And they have their fingers in Southwest Texas. And it's not like we haven't had them come across here and do execution style stuff in Del Rio. It has happened. One of those people was related to a member in our church. But I can imagine a scenario where somebody says or does the wrong thing and they decide, you know what? We'll take care of you and your whole family. And they could come across. It wouldn't have to be just a disgruntled student. It could be, we have a number of potential perpetrators here, and that we don't have what I would consider some of the most basic preparations to at least, if not stop it, because you can't anticipate everything. I get that. I mean, we, even as divers, we can't anticipate everything. But to not have the most basic, let's have a way to, some metal detectors, gun detectors, whatever, so that before they even can get into the building, we see if they've got something on them or potentially have something on them.
I'm gonna go on the limb here, and if somebody hears me, I'll probably get in trouble for even saying this, but you know what? It has to be said. Mm-hmm. We as a law enforcement for the campuses in the school, and I'm not talking security, I'm just talking merely police officers, the police officers for the school district. There's a lot of training out there that's available for us, but we're unable to attend these trainings. They're free for us just to attend. But I'll say the idiotic administrators that are in place will not allow us the time off to attend these trainings, which is only going to benefit them. But we're not allowed to attend because, we're shorthanded, we're this, we're that. But yet, when a situation like this occurs, they're going to wish we had that training.
No kidding. I mean, the potential is there. And this sleepy little town, I mean, that's what everybody is saying. Even the residents there are saying, nothing happens here. They had one violent crime 2 years ago. I think it was 2010. They had one violent crime. It was simple. And then here, out of the blue, one of the worst school massacres to happen in the country.
Yeah. It's a matter of time. And then I've said it. It can happen anywhere at any time. God forbid it will ever happen here. I don't ever wish that on anything.
Absolutely.
But it can happen, and you'd be stupid to think that it cannot happen.
Right.
This sleepy little town, let me tell you, folks, it's not that sleepy. There is a lot of stuff going on.
That's
Just because you don't read about it in the paper, trust me, I'll attest to it. There is stuff going on, and it's sad, but it's reality. That's what it is. I wish it was as easy as just, being calm and, being able to wake up and perfect,
But panic is always the result. Panic is always the result when people don't regularly practice what they need to do. That's why, really, people need to take seriously such things as home fire drills. What would you do if there was a fire in a place that's your normal exit? Would you be paralyzed with fear? When you are scuba diving, if you don't practice all of those 20 skill sets, then you are set up. You are set up for failure. You're set up to automatically be the slave to panic. Very few people who have not kept up with those skills will be ready to immediately drop and respond to an emergency situation while they're diving by using those skills if they haven't practiced them regularly. Yeah. Same is true in this situation. With so many potential openings for disaster at any of the campuses here, you guys can't be everywhere. You guys can't see everything.
Exactly. Thank you. You know, we're expected to cover like everything.
Yeah.
But we can't. We can't be everywhere at one time. And unfortunately, I wish we had unlimited budget. I wish we had unlimited training. I wish we had.
But there's some simple things I'll bet you and a number of the guys could think about, especially looking at this kind of. I mean, if schools and businesses, malls, business buildings, offices, if they aren't looking at the what we call in the military a hot wash, if they're not looking at the hot wash after this tragedy and saying, you know what, we don't have things properly in place for this kind of situation. Mm-hmm. What are some no-cost or extremely low-cost things that we can do to at least have some sort of preparation? I mean, I look at, you know, for diving, I always go back to the diving as a good analogy, because all of those things that you learn are part of your problem-solving toolkit. And there were a number of things that clearly the school thought about to do, which I thought was brilliant. The turning on the intercom. Mm-hmm. There wasn't a big production made out of it. It was simply turning on the intercom so the teachers could hear something that was going on. And that clued them to say, you know what, this isn't normal.
Right.
And what did they do? They started locking their doors and keeping the kids in. When I went to my black belt training for Lean Six Sigma for the Air Force at University of Tennessee, the other UT, one of the things I noticed was interesting about the classrooms, the very modern classrooms. Mm-hmm. One of the things I noticed was that they have a positive locking system where if anything happens, if they have a campus shooting, all of the rooms lock and the teachers are the only ones that can, and the security people are the only ones that can release them. Basically, it automatically goes into lockdown.
Right.
And so you are going to be, it's either going to keep the assailant in so they can't go on a rampage, or it's going to keep them out so they're stuck in the hallways or whatever. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, that costs money to do that kind of thing. And looking at Sandy Hook Elementary, it was great that they had this mechanism that says, you know what, after this time, you have to get buzzed in. We have to know. Now, obviously, he was known, so that defeated one piece of the mechanism. I think probably something like a scanning system that would reveal that he was carrying 2 pistols would have helped and say, you know what, you need to go through the scanner first, otherwise we're not going to buzz you in. And then, unfortunately, he was able to defeat all of that by shooting out the glass. So you would have to have something that's more, bulletproof or...
but again, all of these things are great, but they cost money. To me, it should have been something that a security professional should have seen. Great, you want to put a magnetic door that requires, being able to buzz in or whatever. But then they got a window right next to it so that you can see who's standing at the door.
Yeah.
That's not bulletproof or
right.
safety glass, should I say.
Yeah.
And they can just go through it like no problem.
Exactly. Yeah. It's great to have something that's like locking your car doors. It keeps the honest people honest.
Right.
It removes crimes of opportunity. But in this case, well, they had some security mechanisms and clearly some training with the teachers on what to do, because even some of the teachers said, okay, this isn't practice, this isn't a drill, this is the real thing. So obviously they were rehearsed in some of the processes. That there are so many no-cost things that we could do even on our school district to help prepare in case somebody goes off the rail.
And that is so true. I think a lot of it, I mentioned training.
Yeah.
Well, this is something that really irks me. A lot of the law enforcement, the federal law enforcement, the government.
Yeah.
They have a special requirement that they go, like, for example, handgun qualification.
Yeah.
Which is big. I mean,
absolutely.
that is your primary weapon right there.
Right.
If you're going to pull that, it's because you're going to use deadly force.
Yeah.
Or you're ready to use deadly force. And one of the things is that for federal government, they go to qualify every quarter, which is every 3 months.
Wow.
Okay.
Now, what's the concealed handgun? Because I'm going to touch on that as a
okay. The concealed handgun is just once a year.
Okay, so it is an annual recertification.
It is an annual recertification.
Okay, cool.
Now, that is the same for your state police officers like myself. We are only required to qualify once a year.
Okay.
Well, for me, that's not good enough. I am a firearms instructor, and one of the things for me is if I have to shoot somebody, I want to be proficient at shooting.
Absolutely.
You can't be that proficient at shooting only once a year.
That's like the diving.
Okay, now, a lot of my colleagues, I tell them, well, let's go out and shoot. Well, no, I don't have money for ammo. I don't have this and I don't have that. And then when we go to qualify, for our annual qualification, they're saying, well, I'm not going to go qualify because they didn't buy me ammunition to go qualify with. You know what? It is your responsibility as an officer to maintain your skills.
Absolutely.
Now, if you don't want to go and buy ammo and you're only going to qualify once a year and you shoot crappy that one time when we go out,
right,
and you're barely making it, but that's okay for you.
How safe are you going to feel if you're running
my backup?
Exactly.
So for me, I go out as much as I can. For me, yes, it's expensive, yes, whatever. But for me, you know what? It's a goal because if I have to use deadly force, I want to make sure that the person that I'm going to shoot is going to be down and I'm going to go home.
Yeah, exactly.
That is my biggest thing, And the other thing, too, is like I own my own vest.
Mm-hmm.
These other guys are like, you don't own a vest? They're like, no, they're like $800-900. I'm not going to buy that. If they want one, they can give me one. You know what? This is your life.
Yeah.
This is your life. If going home to your family is unimportant to you, continue doing what you're doing.
And clue me in if I'm wrong, but you're more likely to run into a dangerous situation to protect those who are defenseless if you feel that you have the additional protection like a vest or a helmet or whatever the mechanism is. You're going to be more likely to go into the situation that everybody's trying to run away from if you aren't as immediately in fear for your mortal life.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot made about all the, the first responders, the people that ran, into the World Trade Center. When everybody else was trying to run out, they were going in to try and help people and control the situation because they had the training that they worked regularly. They had the equipment that they used regularly.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you? I would suspect that other than the extraordinary person who is totally selfless, who is able to totally shut off the self-preservation part of their psyche, other than that person, most who, even if they have a weapon and they see something's going on, they're probably less likely than you would be to run into that situation to, throw yourself on the grenade, basically.
Yeah.
They're really like, I don't have a vest. You go first.
You see, but that's just the mentality that a lot of these people have. And for me, it's always been a standing thing. Even as a supervisor in law enforcement, which I've had people under my supervision and command. And ultimately, I've always had one rule. I don't care what we do or what goes down, but at the end of the shift, we all go home.
Right.
If I have to put somebody in a box and I had to do it for all of us to go home, then I'll live with that.
Yeah.
But I am not going to call your wife
right.
or your girlfriend or your mother or father and tell them that you're not coming home ever.
Right.
I will not have that.
Yeah.
So for me, I always train above and beyond.
Exactly.
And that's just the way that I am. I mean, but these guys, they really get me,
Yeah. I'm right there with you.
Okay, but it's a family show. But it's pathetic.
Yeah.
It's pathetic, the mentality that a lot of these guys have. But you know what? You can't change their mind. You know, I can sit here and preach. You guys need to go out there and practice. Oh, and I get this all the time. When we go to qualify, they're like, "Damn, Robert, you shoot good."
Hello? Practice?
Your group is tight. Yeah, well, that didn't happen overnight, guys. You know,
Exactly.
I mean, I practiced at it. I honed my skill. I don't switch guns every 2 months because a new flavor came out.
Right.
You become proficient with one weapon, and you keep it. If it does what is working for you, you know, like in diving, if
Right.
it works for you, use
Yeah.
it. Don't be switching back and forth because they released a new model or they did something else. You know, if it works, go for it. Stay with it.
Okay, I have to ask this question. We're running long as we usually are.
Okay.
But I have
Go
to
ahead.
ask this question
Go ahead.
because this has really sparked my, or I've always had a little interest, but now this has really kind of jumped up my interest in getting certified, you know, to carry concealed.
Mhm.
And I've been reading up on it, you know, the things that you're required to do to get that certification, learn nonviolent dispute resolution, because obviously your first choice is to try to not have to use deadly force.
Right, verbal.
Yeah. Then if that fails, then your proficiency and calm manner in how to use your concealed weapon, of course, you know, proficiency and safety, how do you store it, how you take care of it, what the weapons laws are, what's recognized across state lines, which versus not, and then obviously all the aspects of use of deadly force and the consequences. And I'm sure not just the legal consequences, but, you know, and you kind of alluded to this, if you have to use deadly force, that's going to affect you unless you are totally nonplussed about the whole violence thing.
Right.
That is going to have an emotional effect on you as well.
You know, taking somebody's life obviously is never going to be up there with the best things to do.
Right.
And if you think that way, then go seek help.
You do need,
you know,
yes.
you need help, people.
Yes.
Would I be bothered by it? I'm not gonna lie. Of course, it's
Yeah.
gonna weigh heavily on me.
Yeah.
But am I gonna lose any sleep over it? Absolutely not, because
Yeah.
I know that I'm gonna have done everything I possibly could to get away from the situation. And if that put me there, it was a situation between either he or I.
Right.
And it ain't gonna be
Exactly.
me. So I will do everything in my part to come home.
Feared for my life.
I was in fear for my life, and I've said that before. You know, if you use deadly force, remember you were in fear for your life.
So what is what? And I know definitely, carrying a concealed weapon is not for everybody. There are going to be people that just they are not right for that. But what's involved? What?
It's the concealed handgun training is not very much. It's you apply for it through the state. Excuse me. You fill out the information. You do your fingerprint cards. They do a background check on you. Once it comes back, then you go through a real simple safety course.
Right.
And which, you know, and then of course you're gonna already have to have bought your weapon, the one that you're gonna use.
Right.
Be very familiar with it, and learn how it works. You know, of course, learn how to load it and things like that. And then you go through the safety course, the handling course, and then you go ahead and go through your firearm training. Okay. And that is pretty much it. It is very simple.
Now, I did read that at least in Texas, apparently, you can get trained. You can get certified for revolver or semi-automatic.
That is correct.
But if you get certified for revolver, you're not certified to carry a semi-automatic, but the reverse is different. In other words, if you get certified for a semi-automatic, you can carry also a
that is correct.
Ah, interesting.
Yep. So it's best to go with the semi-automatic.
Oh,
Not
absolutely.
Only one, of course, they do sell some revolvers that are a little smaller. They're easier to conceal.
Right. I should show you the one that we have. It's a semi-automatic.
They're easier to conceal,
Yeah.
but at the same time, they're you know, you got to make sure that you kill your assailant pretty quick. Then you got your semi-automatics. They are small.
Get her done.
Get her done quick. They are small, but they hold more ammo, more bullets.
Right.
So you got to weigh the pros and the cons.
Yeah.
In most things that I've read and seen, the minute the first bullet goes off, even if you have somebody coming into your house, the minute they hear one gunshot, they're booking, because they
really?
know, yeah. You don't even have to aim it at them. All you got to do is just shoot the gun somewhere in the house. They're going to hear gunfire and they're going to run because they're going to know that you're armed.
Right.
So that doesn't always work for everybody. Unfortunately, some people don't scare off. So
I was speaking of that. I was going back to the latest episode of Arrow. One of the main characters, sort of a prior love interest for Oliver Queen, is a girl named Laurel. Her dad is a detective.
Okay.
And she's got this new pseudo boyfriend who happens to be the best friend of Oliver Queen. He comes over while Laurel and her dad are kind of talking about some different things. It's the Christmas time and everything, and it was cute. It was a great line. The guy comes in. His name's Merlin. He comes in and he's like all nervous. He's shake his hand. He's one of those brat rich guys. He shakes it. Oh. Hello, sir. How are you? And he says, proficient in firearms.
Proficient in firearms.
I was like, yes.
Would that be a lesson?
Yes. How are you? I'm proficient in firearms. Great line.
I think because of the way, I'm a realist.
Yes.
And I feel that because of the way the world is, you have to prepare yourself.
Absolutely.
It's not getting any easier with the way things are. Economy even.
Yeah.
If it stays in the direction,
especially
with the direction that it's going in, you may have a lot more people desperate for money. I hope that our neighborhood here stays calm and quiet. We have a high visibility of law enforcement because we do live along the border.
Right.
But like in bigger cities, you may have people breaking into your homes to look for stuff that they can get money for,
right? Because
times are tough and they're getting harder. So with more Americans finding themselves out of jobs, getting more in debt, I prepare yourselves.
Absolutely.
Go ahead and reevaluate the security systems in your house. Make sure that you reinforce your windows.
I am so thankful that we have a security system
here. Just start thinking about it, people, because it's getting rough. And if you're against firearm control, then definitely.
Well, you saw what I posted. I think gun control means you're a professional in your weapon and you know how to quickly and definitively dispatch an assailant.
Yeah.
That's gun control.
One thing I read, somebody tweeted this, I think it was, or I read it somewhere. Can't remember where I read it, but in Great Britain, because of the violence and everything, they banned firearms over there.
Yes.
Because there was a shooting in a school. Well, gun violence rose 87%.
Exactly.
After they passed that. Now, why is that? I actually looked into it. Well, because a lot of the criminals realized that, they took the guns away from everybody. Nobody's armed over there.
Yeah.
So it's free pickings. Let's just go.
Yep.
And you're just inviting people that don't care, that have guns, to go in and hold you up because you have law-abiding citizens that give up their weapons.
That's it.
And there you go.
Now, are teachers here allowed to carry?
No. They are not allowed to carry, even though they do have a concealed handgun license. However, there is a however. Okay. With the concealed handgun permit, me as a law enforcement officer, if you have a concealed handgun, I am not supposed to see it.
Which is why it's called a concealed weapon.
There are some people that carry it in a holster, and they
they have some. I've looked at cheaperthandirt.com. Great place. There's a lot of very innovative holstering mechanisms out there.
They have some really awesome ones for females.
Yes.
Because you guys have special bodies and stuff, but they're
some more special than others.
Yes, but you can conceal a weapon really easy.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not supposed to know you have it.
Right.
So if you have it, I'm not going to know about it.
Right.
We do have
here would be go ahead.
We do have some that I know of here at school that do.
They're licensed.
Yes, they're licensed. Okay. Now, and that's cool. I don't have a problem with it. But I know these people are very serious when it comes to their Second Amendment right.
Absolutely.
And also, the right to protect themselves. And they will.
Yeah. And here's a little tragic potentiality that I see there. Heaven forbid something happens and somebody comes into the school and starts shooting up the place. And let's say one of the teachers happens to have a concealed weapon, certified, legal, even though it's prohibited on the campus, and then pulls out the weapon and is able to take down the assailant, they'd probably get fired.
They will get fired, and you'll probably be looking at possibly jail time. But given the circumstances, it's one of those, if you got to weigh the pro and the cons, I'll definitely take that.
I tell you, I'd be, if I were on the jury, like, sorry.
Exactly, because it's going to go to the jury. I mean, come on. You're going to prosecute somebody that just saved the lives of so many children, probably so many adults and everything, because they violated one rule. Okay, fine. You know what? Let's fine them for carrying their gun illegally. You know what? Let's go ahead and
then you'd probably see a lot of parents get some money together to more than cover that fine.
You know, exactly. You know, it's one of those things that you'll probably be persecuted legally for it, but you know what?
A smart judge would say,
I ain't gonna touch this.
Yeah, really.
You know what?
A smart judge would say, even if the preponderance of the evidence forced a jury to say, yes, technically they're guilty, the judge can go, okay, time served. You know, whatever time they, you know.
Yeah.
Probation.
I'm totally for it.
Yeah.
I have an arsenal at my house. But going back to also gun control, I do want to say this, and I'm glad that we touched on this because I was going to rant about it anyway. There's a lot of things going on. People talking gun control. People talking everything. I'm a big Second Amendment guy.
Yeah.
I'm a law enforcement officer. That's how I am. And granted, there are a lot of gun-related crimes out there, but am I for banning guns? No, absolutely not. I'm not. I think that people who own their guns, like parents and everything else, I think that you have to become more responsible.
Yes,
making
absolutely.
sure that these things are secured away from your children. Now, if you don't have kids, then it's okay to just leave it right there on your desk, because chances are, when you come back tomorrow, a week from now, it's still going to be there.
Right.
But if you've got little kids, not a good idea. They just don't belong. They shouldn't even be anywhere near kids.
Yeah. Well, as it turns out, this Adam Lanza, it was his mother's legally purchased, registered firearms he got.
Even though he's 20 years old,
Yeah.
the law states, federal law states, you got to be 21 years of age to buy the gun. Now, if he's 21 and goes out and buys a gun and shoots people, he did that on his own. You did not supply him with the means.
Right.
Now, I think, and this is just my opinion, if I own guns and my children grab my guns and go out and kill somebody with my guns, you know what? I should be responsible for their deaths.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? My kids, of course, they're going to pay the price because they did it, but I should be also punished for being stupid enough to allow my kids to get my
that would
weapons.
that would be in a lot of places called criminal negligence. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And just be smart.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of you guys. I got a lot of friends out there that.
See, that's why I think that concealed weapon training actually has more value outside, beyond just concealed weapon, because it teaches you to be a responsible owner of a weapon. Because I'll be honest with you, we have a weapon, and other than the fact that I grew up around a family that shot weapons all the time, Tara hasn't. Her twin sister is actually a competitive shooter, which is interesting.
Wow, cool.
You know, two different worlds there, but but we've not received any formal training, and I think there's definitely some value. As a matter of fact, we may just get with you and do some of that, just so that if nothing else, she's more comfortable with it. But
trust me, I have access to gun ranges and stuff. I mean, I'm all for it, and I think it's great. I mean, that's all I can say.
Yeah.
People who know me really well know that I am armed 24/7. Anytime I step out of the house, I am.
Yeah, that's a story that we need to share sometime.
I am armed. I am, most of the time I'm armed with two weapons.
Yeah.
And that's just.
So you notice why I don't really disagree with him a lot on stuff.
No, but
just kidding.
It goes to the same thing again, like I mentioned earlier.
Yeah,
it's getting hard. The world is getting difficult. Things are starting to happen, and
Yeah,
it's
watch
very-
Glenn Beck. He'll tell you exactly stuff. That's
Yeah, and it's Glenn Beck, and it's unfortunate. It really truly is. But I'm at the point right now, especially now.
Yeah.
With things like this, it just gets me in an upward that you got to start preparing yourself, guys.
And I think the point needs to be made that the statistics show that these kinds of tragedies actually are still very rare, and actually more rare now than they were 4 years ago. I was actually looking this up. It's actually less than half, or it's dropped by more than half the number of these kinds of violent crimes because there are people more prepared. Malls are doing drills and simple things they can do to help guard against somebody if they come in on a shooting rampage. Offices are going through that. In the military, we drill this stuff regularly. We have active shooter exercise all the time, even though they should not be able to get onto the base anyway. Right. But it still can happen, and because we are a potential target more for terrorism than for somebody angry over a girlfriend or husband or wife or whatever. So these things happen very, very infrequently. It's just that the media is so quick. You have access through Twitter and Facebook, and we have instantaneous communications from television, etc. That we hear about this a lot quicker than we used to, and so the news gets around faster, and we see more of it, and it's more tragic because it's in your face, and we see the emotions because they're raw and they catch it. By the way, stop interviewing kids. That just angers me when they, in a situation like this, they're interviewing the kids. There are professionals that need to talk to them to help them and their families. It just angers me when news agencies they always ask stupid questions of survivors anyway. But to ask it of little kids, I want to punch them.
These people are jaded for life.
Yeah.
I mean, stop it.
Yeah. So, all of that said, it's important, whatever you're doing, whether it's diving or just living in this world, this era that we live in, you need to be prepared. You need to think about what's the worst thing that can happen. Don't live in fear, but living prepared means you don't have to live in fear.
Exactly. We talk about, this is a diving show, but we talk about other things.
That's why it's two guys who dive.
In diving, we talk about being prepared, training, not diving outside of your skill set.
All of it.
Everything.
Yeah.
But the same thing goes to life in general.
Yes.
Things are getting hard.
Yes.
The economy is tough. The other thing too, you mentioned about, we talked about doors and things like that. Those of you that own 2-story homes, for example,
yeah,
and you have little kids, if you don't have an emergency exit plan,
absolutely,
for the second floor of that your house,
you're signing a death warrant, potential death warrant.
I mean, that's idiotic. You guys should have a window that's already prepared with an what do you call it?
Fire escape.
A fire escape, or
some
like
sort
a
of
ladder or
yes.
something you can throw over a rope, and you need to practice this with your children.
Yeah. Agreed.
It's you have to prepare and you have to plan ahead.
Yeah. So, wow, we're almost 2 hours on the show, but it's been good stuff, fun stuff, and serious stuff, but stuff that hopefully some of you either watching live or if you catch on YouTube or Vimeo find useful. I think it's important to share these kinds of things because it is the life, it's the world we live in.
Right, and if you have any questions regarding anything that we talked about, if you see this after the fact or anything, please drop us a line.
Yeah.
At the end of the show, Rob tends to always give us
what's up
our
next,
emails and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So please drop us a line. We'd be glad to get a chat in this.
Absolutely.
I'd like to hear and actually touch base to see what other people out there are thinking as far as this incident and gun control and how you guys feel about the world in itself.
Definitely a hot button topic.
Yes.
But and while we can certainly get emotional over it about it,
I feel for the families of those children that no one should have to have lost their life at such a young age.
And parents shouldn't outlive their kids. It's just
that's true.
It's sad. All right, so as we close, let's hit our administrivia. So we have our next Dive Club meeting coming up just a couple of days here on Thursday, 20th December at Rudy's Restaurant. And again, our Balmoral State Park scuba trips are scheduled for 17 through 19 May, 14 through 16 June, 19 through 21 July, 16 through 18 August. And as we announced last week, we do now have, we're putting the actual website up. I like the bit.ly shortener. Because if you go to actual Ustream, you have to do the ustream.tv/channel/2-guys-who-dive. But you can actually have go to bit.ly and just type in bit.ly/2-guys-who-dive, and that's a quicker way to get there. And also we'll be as soon as the guys at XSplit get the little tweaks done, we'll enable Skyping. So if we can have some Skype guests, or even when Scuba Bob has to be somewhere else, he might be able to Skype in. So, but if you want to check us out at for Skype, it's 2 Guys Who Dive all together. And you can send us email at tgwd@outlook.com, and we'd love to respond to you. If you'd like to respond to us directly, you can contact Scuba Bob. Either follow him on Twitter at rsgarza435 or send him an email.
Yes.
At rsgarza821@yahoo.com. And, of course, you can chat me up via Twitter, RobertCFP, or email robert.wade@setifox.net. And we'd love to hear from you, feedback on the show, or just comments, questions. We'd love to have you participate in the chat room. We always have that up in our watching it in case somebody wants to jump in, which happens occasionally.
Yeah, I really hadn't started really using Twitter very much until just recently.
I had to give you a pointer.
We go back and forth, me and Rob, with different things. He threw Glenn Beck at me the other, which was kind of funny, but it's all in good fun.
Yes.
Of course, everything I say, I usually say it just to kind of get a little rise out of him. And but but really, I'd really love to get more into it.
Yeah.
I'm not very good when it comes to the politics thing. So usually if something comes up and I know a little bit about it, I'll maybe make a comment about something. But usually I wish I was into politics as my co-host here, Mr. Wade. But it's really not my
But Twitter isn't just about that.
No,
Facebook isn't. I just happen to, and a lot of the people that I follow and that follow me typically are into that. But it can be about anything. I'll definitely post about stuff like the band going on.
But
diving.
I really, what I'm trying to get at is I really want to get more into my Twitter. So guys, please, try to follow me. And
he's worth following. Trust me, he really is. So, okay, well, running exceptionally long, but we covered a lot of interesting material. So, for those who are movie aficionados, you maybe have some things to look into and see if
a lot of movies.
Yeah, I think next year is going to be a big year for sci-fi. I mean, there's a lot more sci-fi and adventure and that kind of stuff. There's a lot more that's out there, but those are ones that kind of got my radar up. So I'm sure there'll be others that will show up. So
but if you have any questions, again, please hit us up.
Yeah, absolutely. So that pretty much takes care of another week, and we will see you next week on another episode of
Two Guys Who Dive.